All right, guys. So we're going to go over chapter 19 today on leisure. Why is leisure important to older adults? Is it more important, less important? All those kind of aspects of what leisure is. As far as defining leisure, we have some things we need to break down. You have discretionary time. This is defined as time that is not obligated to work, self-care, or just like your daily task stuff. This is things that are not they're outside of those. Okay. Culturally sanctioned activity, this is any activity that we recognize as a culture as leisure. And I know this is individualized, but generally speaking, that most leisure activities are accepted in society as some form of leisure. It might not be that specific person's favorite type of leisure, but we see it as a leisure activity. And then lastly, leisure has a state of being relaxed and content. If you don't have that state, then it is not considered leisure. It must be understood as experience based. What is the person's actual experience? Does it give them a statement of identity? Does it make them who they are? A lot of people who say that they enjoy fishing say, I'm a fisherman or I'm a hunter. It's really common in our area. It's like a statement of identity. And leisure is a fully engaging experience for the person. It is, they're having choice of what they want to do, choice of how they want to do it. It's an all engaging experience of the individual participating in it. So, what is the value of leisure? Why is it so important? Well-being and quality of life are highly associated with engagement and activities, with whatever their personal significance is to that activity, whatever makes them feel like, hey, this is important to me. I really enjoy this. This gives me a sense of being. It really does give you that sense of this is my purpose. Some people even, say their leisure activity will be they enjoy working at a soup kitchen and they get sense of purpose out of that, or working with their church. Now, remember, this is not work. It is they get personal enjoyment out of it. So older adults especially value leisure. That's because they're getting to an age that they start to realize the important things in life. Life's starting to slow down. For them, there a lot of these patients are going to be in the retirement age. So, keep that in mind of when you're choosing an activity. And, we address leisure as occupational therapists. And keep it in mind that leisure, if you can do a leisure activity with a patient as part of a intervention, or adapt their favorite leisure activity for them to be able to do it again post injury or whatever it be, that's going to really help you get much better results with a patient if they are enjoying what you're doing with them. Um, we'll stick with the example of a fisherman. Like if you need to adapt the fishing rod to have a built-up handle, or whichever, there's a lot of different adaptations you can do for that activity. But if you take somebody who wasn't able to fish and they miss doing that, and then you find a way for them to be able to do it, you're really going to change their life. So we need to go over some principles of when we're talking about value of leisure. There needs to be a sense of doing, a sense of belonging, a sense of being, a sense of becoming, and a statement of identity. Again, I can't stress to you enough that importance of sense of purpose, sense of identity when it comes to leisure. There is some active or different types of leisure. The first one is active. That's like walking, running, dancing. That can all be types of leisure for people. Passive would be something that you want to think of doesn't take a whole lot of energy, like reading or watching movies. Social, spending time with friends or book clubs, that's huge. That's a very important part of older people's lives, is we need to recognize the need for social relationships. As far as hobbies and interests go, art, woodworking, gardening. I've done a lot of gardening with patients before. They tend to really enjoy that, especially in our area. Some other stuff would be like educational pursuits or travel. Now, educational pursuits is not necessarily, pursuing another degree, unless, that's what they like. That's their leisure. But I'm talking more like learning how to do something new, like going to a painting class, going to a knitting class, or something along those lines. Each form of leisure has to have satisfying elements. They have to get satisfaction out of it. And individual choice is extremely important as well. In institutional settings, such as different centers or adult day programs, they might get participants out of the house and occupy, but they rarely create real leisure. I've talked to you guys a lot about this idea of an adult daycare that I want to do. And the reason being is because a lot of them aren't done, in my eyes anyway, correctly. There needs to be a sense of choice with these patients. Like, if they want to come, they want to engage in it. What do you want to do while you're here? Do you want to do some gardening? Do you want to do that? A lot of times people, when they are put in institutional settings, they don't really have a lot of choice. They have whatever the activity of the day is. And, that's not good. That gets them depressed. That gets them feeling like they're out of control. They still need to be that sense of control in order to make it, patient satisfaction and quality of life. So what are some different elements of leisure? Total engagement that contributes to self-actualization. So what that kind of means is, what we've been talking about, how, engaging in the leisure, engaging in it by choice, by actually participating in it, whatever it may be. It makes it a reality for the patient that they're able to do things again, and that makes a huge difference. There's a few terms here that we need to talk about. One of them is flow. That's just talking about how well it goes. It shouldn't be awkward for them to do leisure. It should be something that they're natural with and are interested in. It's the same as if, I say, hey guys, we're going to go do something that, whatever you guys are interested in or whatever you like. If we're going to go do that activity, it just kind of flows. You just do it. You enjoy it. It should be that same way with older adults. Even if we're adapting and giving them choice and all this, it should flow. And then involvement, again, is that idea of choice. And then serious leisure, that's like or committed leisure. Serious leisure is a systematic pursuit of an amateur, hobbyist, or volunteer activity. So it could be something that's more, it's not beginner level. It is something that has special skills, like woodworking. You're not going to, if somebody's never done woodworking before and you're going to throw them into it, they don't have the skills to do that. So they're not really going to enjoy it as much. If somebody was a woodworker before, that was their sense of purpose, their sense of leisure beforehand, then, they can jump into it. Serious leisure has to have like substantial skills, rules, knowledge, experience. And it takes a little while for that to build up. You can't just throw somebody into, one of those more higher level activities and expect them to run with it. So that's what serious or committed leisure is. All right. So again, we've talked about this several times already, but I want to reiterate it because clearly it is important with leisure, and that is control. The first one, the freedom of choice. This is the most important thing I can teach you guys about leisure with older adults, is that it is the most important thing when determining an outcome of leisure. If we're really going to get, really good outcomes and meet goals, they need to have that freedom of choice. The determination of outcomes, that is determining some of the aspects of the outcome, prior to. So if so-and-so was a woodworker and they want to build a bird house, they're determining that. They're in control of that. They know how they want it to look. They know how they want to build it, all of that kind of stuff. Matching skills or challenges to the skills. Again, you have to make it individual. You're not going to throw, your little 80-year-old lady who's never done woodworking out into a wood shop and say, okay, this is going to be fun, leisure. No, that's going to be very stressful. She may want to do a knitting group or, a Bible study or whatever brings her leisure. You have to match whatever challenge or whatever outcome you want to whatever skill that they have in order for it to be considered leisure. Psychological comfort, that's really closely related with that matching skills, but they have to feel comfortable being able to do what they want. They have to feel comfort really is the best word for it. They have to feel like they are there in the moment and know what they're doing. Um, and that's again that whole idea of matching challenges to skills. But the second part of that is making sure that they have a good sense of control and not really an anxiety. It's the opposite of anxiety. And then optimal levels of choice. Again, remember, it should always be choice. You cannot force leisure. Okay. And so another element of leisure is reciprocity. It needs to be balanced or symmetrical. It's the idea of, what you receive is similar to what you give. If you're putting in this amount of work for leisure, you should get out that amount of pleasure, that kind of deal. Leisure is really just taking control of one's life. You're in control of that moment. As far as motivation, we all kind of know what motivation is, but it's the reason that we even participate in that activity. If you're not motivated to do something, you're probably not going to do it. And that's even more so true for older adults. If they are not motivated in doing something, it's half of our job is getting them motivated to do something with us. And if you can bring a leisure aspect into it, something they're going to enjoy, it makes it much, much easier. And they're way more on board with treatment after that. And then freedom from unnecessary constraints of reality. This is where, in order to have true leisure, you need to be pulled out of the stresses of life. There shouldn't be constraints of pain. There shouldn't be constraints of poor health or family demands. When you choose a leisure activity or be with them when they choose a leisure activity, it should be something that is going to be obtainable, and they're not going to be in pain. They're not going to be, their health isn't going to be affected by it. So it's really individualized when you're choosing leisure activities. 3 contributing factors to total engagement is, again, control, motivation, and disengagement. This is the model of leisure engagement. Okay, that's what we've been describing this whole time. The elements of leisure are mutually influencing. One is not more important than the other. You can't really have true leisure without all 3 of these. If you're missing motivation or you're missing control, you've lost the idea of leisure altogether. And it's a continuum. It's just, this is not, again, one works without the other. Okay. So when you're assessing leisure, you need to collaborate with the individual. You need to get them involved in the choice. But if something needs to change, if they feel like this is not what they wanted it to be, it's okay to switch. It's okay to change and do a different activity. You need to examine the individual's motivations. What is the motivation for this? Something good? Is it something, what is motivating them? If they want to make a birdhouse for somebody for their birthday, what is the motivation behind it? If you can establish good motivation, you can accurately assess leisure a lot better. You needed to be able to determine whether or not the individual experienced leisure that's total engaging and leads to self-actualization. How you do that is just watching the patient, asking them, how are you having a lot of fun? You can tell if somebody's enjoying what they're doing or not. You really can. So, making sure that you keep them at the center of your leisure interventions is key. So what are our goals of interventions? They need to be totally engaged. They need to attain self-actualization, and they need to make desired statements of self-identity. And that might just be, I am a woodworker. I am a fisherman. I am a knitter. I am part of this Bible study group, whatever it is. It's a sense of identity for them. And then lastly, we have levels of interventions with leisure. You have personal. This is identifying health-giving leisure, that provide purpose and meaning. This is individualized for the person. Societal, this is advancing ideas that ensure that older adults' needs for leisure are considered as a matter of health, right, and justice. Societal, this is just convincing, local officials or whoever, that leisure is super important for the health of older adults and for successful aging. So, these day programs, we have very, very few of them, but like Kanawha County Adult Services, they do a few things. But you really have to convince people that that kind of stuff is still important, whether it be an elders dance group, an elders gardening group, something. Um, it needs to be something that involves society. And lastly is legislative. This is addressing, the need for, leisure at a state or a, national level, trying to get funding for these programs that are so important. All of this kind of ties into making sure that these that your interventions are going to be there and you're going to be able to do them. How much easier is it to, say, hey, there is an adult gardening group, for people your age, people of like interest here. Maybe we could go do that. It's much easier than saying, okay, we're going to be the only one gardening, and I really don't have the stuff to do it. And it's going to take me a while to get it built up. If you can have these kind of things established already, it makes life a lot easier. That's definitely speaking from experience. All right, so you guys, that is all for this chapter. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. If not, I will talk to you all later. Thank you.